Hello everybody, welcome back to my movie review series. Today we'll be discussing Signs. Watched this one last night pretty leisurely, but gotta keep the content rolling. So you know how we do it. I'll give you my overall impressions and grade after giving you the logistics of the movie. If you have not seen the movie but would like to, you're going to want to shut off the video because there will be spoiler alerts. We'll be discussing the plot synopsis and character development, and any similar movies or major themes. So Signs was released in 2002. It is rated PG-13. It is a sci-fi / horror movie. It has a runtime of 1 hour and 46 minutes. I'm on Max, the HBO Max app for a week. So busting out as many movies as I can. Google says why to watch. It's frightening, suspenseful, and chilling. So the overview says, everything that Farmer Graham Hess, played by Mel Gibson, assumed about the world has changed when he discovers a message, an intricate pattern of circles and lines carved into his crops. As he investigates the unfolding mystery, what he finds will forever alter the lives of his brother, played by Joaquin Phoenix, and children Rory Culkin and Abigail Breslin, a unique story that explains the mysterious real-life phenomenon of crop signs and the effects they have on one man and his family. Did $408 million at the box office. Nice. So it says 80% liked it on Google, 75% liked it on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.8. We'll round that up to 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb. So what did I think? I mean, yes, I've already seen this movie. This is a rewatch, but I enjoyed this one. I think this was good, especially for the first time watching this. I think it has a good just tone to it. I think it's pretty chilling, suspenseful, as Google said. But again, rated PG-13, so nothing super gory or anything. But I just think I thought the production and this, like the scene sequences were good, along with the characterizations I thought were strong. So overall, I'm gonna say a B+, higher end of entertaining. Good for a horror movie or just like a thriller, I guess, suspenseful movie. So overall, I recommend this one. If you've not seen it, you want to shut off this video, and there will be spoilers now. So the movie opens up, I think you have some credits in the beginning, but Reverend Graham Hess lives with his brother Merrill, again played by Joaquin Phoenix, and they have their young daughter Bo, and she's probably 5 or 6, and Morgan, the son, is probably 10 years old. And so they live out in the country kind of, and I'm pretty sure it's modern day 2002. I don't think you really get a state location of where the setting is. But regardless, there's crop circles going on, and you meet Officer Pasky. She comes out and looks at these crop circles. They just have a bunch of patterns in their crops, and she suggests maybe it's the Lionel Pritchard brothers, or the Pritchard brothers, some minor characters in the movie, and they're just beginning to wonder what's going on with these crop circles. So you have a couple cutback scenes throughout the movie of Graham Hess as a reverend. He was married to Colleen Hess, and she has passed away recently. I think within the past year or so. And so, regardless, they see these crop circles, and then one night it becomes the nighttime. They have dogs. The dogs are barking pretty strangely when the Officer Pasky and Reverend Graham are in the checking out the crop circles. Reverend Graham kind of runs away fast. He's like, I don't hear my children. And so he runs out and sees that Morgan has stabbed one of the family dogs to death because it was attacking Bo. And so, these animals starting to act strangely. Again, very, very good ominous tone to this movie, I thought. And so the nighttime comes, and then Bo comes into Graham's room, and it's like, she's a young little girl, and she's like, there's a monster outside my window. And so Graham thinks, she's just imagining things, and goes into her room, and as he's putting her back to bed, he turns and looks, and he sees this figure walking on the roof, which I thought the first time you see that scene, I thought that was a good kind of jump scare, chilling, sending a chill down your spine type of scene. But regardless, they see this form on the roof, and so Graham gets Merrill, and they're going to go run around the house and try to scare it away or catch it. And so they both start running. Graham is not used to cussing, and so it's kind of a light humor into the writing about Graham running around the house swearing. And so Meryl runs one way, Graham runs the other. They circle the house, and the thing easily gets away into the cornfield again. And so the next day, they talk with Officer Paskey, and she was like, they're trying to make sense of it, and Meryl's like, there's no way someone could get off of the. Sorry, there's a fly. That's where my eyes are going. There's a fly in my room. But he was like, there's no way. Meryl, he was a former minor league baseball player. But he's like, I'm pretty strong and fast. There was no way this was something human or something like an athlete could have done this. Because Officer Paskey suggests that there's some Scandinavian volleyball players or something in the area. And so they come to the conclusion again that the corn stalks are all bent but not broken. And that's really kind of the resolution. So the Hess family decides to go into town for a little bit. They go into town. Morgan and Bo go to the bookstore, and at this point they've turned on the TV, and they've seen that these crop circles are appearing all over the place, and there's lights appearing all over the place as well. And so they go to the bookstore, they look for anything on extraterrestrial aliens, and aliens and extraterrestrials are a distinctly different group of organisms as categorized by human beings. But regardless, they go to this bookstore to get a book. They get one on extraterrestrials, and Meryl goes to like a army recruiting office. The recruiter recognized him from the baseball days, and he's like, you hit a 500-foot home run. Why aren't you in the major leagues? Then you meet Lionel Pritchard, just again a minor character, and Lionel is like, Meryl also has the strikeout record for the MLB as well. All at the same time, Reverend Graham, he's picking up like a prescription, and you meet a minor character, the receptionist Tracy, and she was like, if this is the end of the world, can I confess my sins? And Reverend's like, I'm not a reverend anymore because of his wife's scenario, and so she like confesses to saying some swear words and bad words, and just a minor, again, levity, little funny scene. But then they go back to, they finish up their trip in town with some pizza, and at which point you see Ray Reddy, what happened was, then you get a flashback scene to Ray Reddy was just a person in their town. He wasn't drinking or anything, he just fell asleep at the wheel, and he had pinned Colleen Hess up against a tree. And so she's dying, and then you get one more cutback scene later on. And so, but you meet the character that killed Colleen Hess. And so he just kind of drives away. The Hess family goes back to the farm. They hear some interference on the walkie-talkies, and Morgan's like, you can hear them talking. And so that's basically whatever. And then Reverend Graham is like, no more TV. And so trying to keep the news cycle off. And then he gets a call from Ray Reddy, and he's kind of like shaky or kind of like being weird, and kind of hangs up real quick. So Reverend Graham goes over there, and Ray is like, I'm sorry for what it's worth, blah blah blah. And then he's like, I trapped one in my pantry. I'm going in the water because I hear they don't like water. And so at this point, as the viewership, you can tell that obviously it's a movie about aliens, or I guess extras. But regardless, the Graham is still like, he's just kind of still a little bit in denial. He goes into the house to see if he can see one of these things. He puts like a knife under the door and sees its reflection, and then he gets a little hand that comes out, and he cuts off the fingers. And so he bolts out of there, leaves it trapped in the pantry, and goes back to his house, and is like, okay, let's turn on the TV. And so they turn on the TV, and at which point you see there's another video from Brazil, which is actually pretty accurate. Brazil is an active site. But they go and they start boarding up the walls and, preparing for the nighttime. And so they have an emotional dinner. More spam calls, obviously. You get about 20 to 30 robocalls a day. Awesome, love it. But they basically, Graham just says, what does everybody want for dinner? Because, obviously this is a real thing. Let's just cook a big meal and enjoy our day. And so they cook a big meal. Morgan has, kind of gets angry and says he hates Graham. And they all kind of just have a breakdown and they're sad. They all just kind of hug. And so that's what happens there. Bo also has this kind of, idiosyncrasy where she will drink half a cup of water and just leave all the water around. So there's a bunch of cups of water, which is a relevant plot development. But so they kind of have a breakdown, and then they it's dark out, and then they hear the extras just walking around on the house and trying to get into the house, and so they hear them 5 minutes of that, and one of them gets into the upstairs, so they go down into the basement. They lock the door and put on board up the door any way they can. And so one of them's trying to knock out the door, and they realize it's just making noise. It's not trying to actually enter through the door. And so, they refer to Morgan's book that he got at the bookstore a couple times. He's like, they're very intelligent. They'll find a way in. And they're like, there's a cold, there's like a wind, or there's a draft, or there's some other kind of like cold shoot or something. And so another kind of jumpy scene where they pan over, and it's like right behind Morgan. And so it kind of reaches for him, and then he kind of gets away, but it's behind this big metal grate, so he can't actually get in. And so Morgan has asthma, and so he doesn't have his inhaler with him, and so he has to breathe, or try to survive without being able to go outside and get his medicine. And so the night passes, the day comes on. They have this little FM AM radio. They turn it on, and it says that the extras are just now starting to leave, and then they've left some of their injured behind. And so they decide they open the door, they go back upstairs, getting towards the resolution of the movie. And as they're kind of in this state of relief, they look over, and this extra, you finally get a picture of this animated alien, and it's holding Morgan. And there's a bat on the wall, and then you get one final flashback scene to when Colleen Hess was pinned against the tree. And so Graham goes up there. Officer Paskey was the one that's like, she's pinned against the tree. She's not in much pain, but this is definitely the last time you're going to speak to her. So they just talk, and Colleen's like, tell Meryl, or tell Morgan this, tell Bo this. Then right as she's about to pass away, she says, tell Meryl to swing away. And thinking that is just meaning nothing. So you have some premonition of she was foreshadowing this. And so he tells Meryl to swing away at the alien. The alien sprays some gas at Morgan. He's not breathing because of his asthma, so he doesn't get into his lungs. And Meryl just goes ham and baseball bats the alien. So that's what happens. Excuse me. But that's what happens. They have one final scene. They all live. And one final scene of Graham has putting back on his reverend suit, going back to being a preacher. So the religious undertones doesn't bother me at all. I thought the overall, just the eeriness, the ominous, the tone of the movie, I thought was very entertaining. Especially up there, I thought it was good for an alien attack video. So overall, I recommend this one. Again, major themes, extras versus aliens. And would they be hostile? No, absolutely not. Most would actually be vastly indifferent, off-put in the same way. Parents love their kids, but if they're whining the terrible twos and they get the maturity level 14-year-olds are going to get a little annoyed. Most non-human species don't. They're just indifferent and don't care, and we are terrible, terrible species. So definitely not hostile. Human beings would be the weird ones for sure. But overall, I recommend it B+. And so I'll probably be doing another one today. This was from last night, so I'll probably put on another movie and keep it rocking. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.